everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1304 of our daily content grind. It's a Monday. It's time for a news roundup. Now, we've talked about a lot of the big news of the week previously because big things dropped. So we are going to be talking about, the usual stuff and the updates that we have on that because there is quite a bit this week. I will address this at the top, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Don't talk about it in the comments. We know what the big orange elephant in the room is when it comes to the toy collecting hobby right now. This has always been a place of escapism. It's always going to be a place for escapism. I'm not talking about it. Please don't talk about it in the comments. We know what's going on. It sucks. Let's just try to enjoy ourselves, shall we? We're going to need it. So, let us talk about the boy. So I did a whole video for this brand new MPG-17 Optimus Prime, the Style Gen. And now we have the gray protos, and there's just something about gray protos that just hit different, Like we saw even in color, there's some toys that just look better in the gray proto. I don't know what it is. But it is very, very nice looking once we see the physical form. I do think that hits very different than just your standard CAD model that we've seen previously. I'm not a fan of how many screws are on the figure. However, looking at it from the back, we are now privy to a lot of the other things that we were not able to see before, like even more 5mm ports hidden on the toy. And they are the standard modern style of 5mm ports with the hexagon shape. Also, he seems to have a 3mm port in the same spot that a lot of modern Transformers do to equip a flight stand. That's fascinating to me, or it might just be a screw hole. It's hard to see from here. Point is, between the holes on the back, the holes on the sides of the shoulders and arms, you can definitely tell modern generation's engineering and play pattern is involved in this figure, right down to like normal light piping that you can see the translucent on the back of the head. I described it to a friend of mine this way, and I wish I had thought of it when I was talking about this in its own dedicated video. But the more I see this toy, and the more I see the play pattern they are going with, the more it occurs to me that hear me out. If MP10 is supposed to be the perfect iteration of a original G1 Optimus toy, I feel like MPG-17 is a perfect iteration of a modern Optimus Prime toy. Taking all the play styles and sensibilities of a modern figure, the willingness to go beyond his traditional aesthetics, even down to the engineering style of the transformation. Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated because Masterpiece, but for the most part, it is kind of being its own, it is kind of like leaning toward how a normal modern Transformer behaves. Given all that, I am starting to see where this slots in more. I do still see this as a gateway figure. Not only to get people into Masterpiece, because this is going to be, a much more affordable and approachable Optimus Prime toy, but also their gateway into doing things that they otherwise would not be able to do. Not only getting a tank Megatron as a Masterpiece toy, but also getting characters like Jazz and Mirage, who have never made it into Masterpiece because of licensing restrictions. If they have Style Gen as a thing, they can produce those characters at Masterpiece size and quality without necessarily having to license the vehicle modes, which is a requirement to all the others. So there is a lot that they are going to be able to do with this. Optimus is the gateway to kick it off. I see a lot of people excited for it. I could take it or leave it. It's one of those masterpieces where I might cross my fingers in hopes to go on sale. It's not going to go on sale. This thing's going to sell out. But you know what? It looks fine. It looks good. And I accept that it does have a place in Transformers. Let's take a look at something I will be able to afford when it is out. Someone got their hands on the upcoming Earthspark Soundwave Deluxe figure. There's only one wave of Earthspark Deluxes left, And it looks like they're going out with a bang because Soundwave is looking phenomenal. In packaging, he does look weird because the legs are turned to the side and do not show like his actual silhouette. Once he's out of the box, look at how pretty he is. That is just a really cool looking Soundwave. I don't care what you think of Earthspark as a story, as a show. That is a nice look on Soundwave. I really, really like how he looks. All the wings do just like point to the back, but they've done enough to compress them to the point where I'm not terribly bothered by it. You know, it's a weird way of handling the big wings, but like when you're a flying wing transformer, you gotta do something with the bulk, okay? I will accept this. Especially because this is an Earthspark Deluxe. It's gonna be on a lighter budget, engineering-wise. It looks really good. And look at the stealth bomber mode. Look at how paper thin that vehicle mode is, and I am saying that as a compliment. That's just a really, really good looking stealth bomber mode. It is a shame these toys do not get like the repaint and remold treatment that a lot of normal Transformers get, because Sound Blaster colors on this, like the black stealth bomber look with like a little bit of gold and red trim here and there, this would look amazing. This would look so good. There you see the engineering on it. Admittedly, the engineering Earthspark Deluxe, it's not terribly exciting. You can see basically the entirety of the wings are the legs, all unfolded in order to make up the mass of the vehicle mode. Hence why it is so thin. Not a lot of other parts seem to be transforming, admittedly, but we're not concerned about like things like that. I'm concerned with what gets the job done best. Looks like this gets the job done really well. I am look at it. In vehicle mode, it's so wide, it's almost as tall as like a full Commander combined mode. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy how big this thing, you know, how like the engineering behind this. Also, why do you have Jack Black Steve as an action figure? Point being, this is looking like a really, really cool swan song for that toy line. I am so excited to get my hands on one of those. Speaking of, we saw Sonic and Shadow in the background there. Great transition into the actual new Sonic and Tails figures, or rather, Blue Booster and Wingtail. I am still excited for these. I mean, it's a super weird little like set of figures for a crossover, but I'm happy that we are expanding crossovers into the video game department. Sonic is not one I ever expected Transformers to do, but here we are. Definitely have a unique look to them. I will admit, bright colors, simple detailed designs, they do have a little bit of the play school look to them. I think that's perfectly in character though, so nothing's bothering me there. About deluxe size, that's fine. Yeah, look at how nice and cute the vehicle modes are. I am definitely getting rescue bots from the shape and aesthetic of the vehicle modes, especially Sonic's car, especially the Sonic car. Also, biplane transformer. Biplane transformers, very rare. Really, really happy to see another one, even if it's a gimmicky, even if it's like a gimmicky one like this. I'm looking forward to it. And this is one of those collabs where I really would not be bothered by a second run. Like, give me Knuckles as like a tank or some kind of it has to be vehicles that are associated with them though, so they would have to be the ones from the Sonic racing games. We might be a little bit limited. We kind of explored that before, didn't we? But you know, I would take a Knuckles and a Shadow in this line. And then I would take an Amy and a Rouge. Now, if you want to spend a whole lot on Transformers, we have this Premium Collectible Studios put out the official images for their museum scale Optimus Prime jet convoy. So this is trying to replicate the look of the Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime using his trailer from G1 rather than the actual Jetfire parts. So you're getting a little bit of very stylized G1 with some very Revenge of the Fallen inspired aesthetics. There is something about it that's not hitting me quite right. Like, I'm not a fan of like the big blocky shapes into the chest and then getting into like the more like Gundam Evangelion paneling along the midsection. It's not hitting me the right way. That's just me. That's my personal take on it. I do think it's an interesting idea to kind of take G1 Prime's designs and figure out how to make the Revenge of the Fallen look with that. But it's definitely not going to be one for me. And you can see some fun things that they have done. Like you get the swords and axes from the movies, so you get that. You apparently get a Megatron arm because everyone wants to do the Skybound Optimus thing now with the Megatron arm. Now, this statue itself, museum scale, means this is almost 3 inches tall, and or 3 feet tall rather. 3 inches would not be much for a museum. It's a 3-foot tall piece. The wingspan itself is 40 inches wide. So imagine like how big that is. You're talking like 3.5 feet now. Or close to that. This is a $4,500 statue. If you just have an absurd amount of money that you really do not want anymore, $4,500 to get this incredibly detailed Optimus Prime. Or, if that is not up your alley, they also announced this. Premium scale Unicron. The pre-order starts in a few days. This one, I believe, 39 inches wide, so about the same width. Does not say how tall it is. It's also museum scale. This is probably also somewhere in the $4,000 to $5,000 range. I like that it is actually emulating one of the more famous pieces of artwork for Unicron, where he is sitting in that planetary statue with just like these 2 moons that he's resting his hands on. It's cool to homage that, and he's definitely stylized the same way as Optimus Prime, where his details are a lot more rounded. He's a lot more paneled. I'm not big on that, but I'm very happy that like there's at least going to be a statue that represents like one of my favorite pieces of Transformer art. Let's go to something more affordable now, shall we? Aldi was showing off their Alpha Action Elite Optimus Primes and Starscream and their Shattered Glass Soundwave. So we got new photos of those. So you see, it's just nice, nice action figure style pieces of Optimus Prime. You get the display stand, you get tons of hands, tons of extra accessories, just about everything you'd like out of an Optimus Prime figure. And then yeah, you can see just like from the stance he has, super posable as well. This is not like a model kit thing. It is pre-assembled. It's basically just a deluxe version of their blind box figures that they've been doing. Yeah, just a ridiculous amount of stuff in one box, which is really cool to see. Shattered Glass Soundwave is looking hysterical. Here he is doing a rider kick for no given reason. Yeah, I do always like the colors on this one, though. The pension for a headband is weird because it's very hard to replicate in a plastic accessory. But you also get Shattered Glass Ravage, and then if you need a social media manager, you have a Shattered Glass Ravage, and then you have a Shattered Glass Laserbeak as well, who does not put in nearly enough appearances. And the same sound as Optimus Prime, you're getting a ton of stuff. You're getting the hands, you're getting the display stand, the weapons. I like that he's also getting the tape recorder mode as a separate accessory that's in scale, tapes as well to fit inside his chest. Cool to see. And then we get Starscream, who's pretty much what you would expect. It's all of his normal parts. It's the coronation set. Yeah, not a whole lot of surprises to Starscream, but cool that these are being made available. So if you want, I believe these are not blind box. I believe you can, now packages non-blind boxes. So if you want to try out this line, but you want to be certain of what you're getting your hands on, there you go. Your option is now available. Or it will be available. It's on the way. Blockies has rebranded their classic class figures, their model kits, into champion class. So here we now have some Transformers 1 pieces from said line, starting with Soundwave and Shockwave, and Ironhide. So, yeah, I'm not sure why they show the vehicle mode there. So, like a lot of Blocky stuff, it is very good for its price. It is very highly articulated. I've messed around with some of the classic class model kits. They are fun to build, but they are not overly complicated, which is always my preference. Soundwave looking real, or Shockwave looking really, really good here. Soundwave looking good too. I don't know how I feel about his big box chest look, but I am happy to see that he is getting like a decent figure and decent model kit. These do seem to have LED effects as well, so they do light up, at least the chests do. You can see that on Ironhide as well, where his spark chamber is visible. This seems post-cog because he's got his detailing in. Of course, because you can see the wheels on the back of him. I hope they continue these, because these are really, really nice. I know from the shop, the Transformer ones, for at least their Galaxy series, don't really sell fantastically well, but they do sell. There's still people who really like this movie, and like I would be excited to actually get my hands on some of these. At least the Shockwave and the Soundwave. Like, I really like how those two came out. Some comic book news for you. We have the first look at Skybound's Kickstarter for their Transformers Compendium. This is every Marvel issue and every Marvel UK issue. So the entirety of the comic book G1 storyline compiled into 4 massive tomes. These rank in between 950 and 1,200 pages all together. Literally probably about as many pages as you could fit in a normal bound book. Me personally, I think that's too many pages. Like, I think about like at 300 I would top out. I think that's about the most I would be willing to accept out of one book. I don't know how they've broken this up to be so absurd, but here you go. Yeah, this is a weird thing for Kickstarter, but yeah, is there a Kickstarter date on this? There's a register. I'm not gonna go start clicking into other chapters, but it's 1 week away. 1 week away as of the 2nd, so we got a few days left to go. Or you could get the complete edition of the manga that is being reprinted. Now, granted, it's being reprinted in Japan, so you'd have to know Japanese, but they are getting a full reprint of the manga. It looks like they are also including all the stuff from Battlestars, so fingers crossed we get some kind of good translation and some good visuals and a detail on all those like those stories that we don't really get a whole lot of detail for. Be nice to see at least finally get to actually read the adventures and read Battlestars. eHobby's back at it. We have another round, wave 14 of their super deformed Transformers cards, the plastic cards, the ones that they've been doing. But this one, unlike most of their series, is actually very focused because this one is entirely based on Transformers Cloud. And I believe it's literally the entirety of the Cloud lineup. So here we have Optimus and Megatron, who are using current molds of the time. Well, I guess the Classics Prime mold wasn't that current, but it was still a popular mold. Megatron was using the Revenge of the Fallen bludgeon as a base. We have Starscream, who was using the Generations Blitzwing mold, which is still a weird choice. That means a tank Starscream exists. We have the infamous Brawn using first edition Bulkhead, which is always the most hilarious use of that mold. We have Whirl as Shockwave because one eye. We have Triple Changer Rodimus, redone from Generation Springer, which looks way closer to the IDW version of Rodimus than it really had any right to look. It's actually a super clever usage of the mold. And then we have Hell Warp, who is supposed to be like a take on Hellscream, like a continuation of like Starscream, Hellscream. Here's Skywarp getting his hands on it using the Thrilling 30 Skybite mold. And one of the more infamous ones, using the Thrilling 30 Roadbuster mold, we have, well, what in Japan was Roadbuster. We know it as Ironhide. With a far more, because it's just a straight up repaint, he gets a battle face instead of a visible head. So, interesting switch up. So if you're collecting those, here's an entire wave that is just one solid collection. It's kind of interesting to see. It's a weird section of Transformers to cover. And finally, if you want something truly bizarre, we have the Mega Space Molly, redone as Optimus Prime from Pop Mart. This is just a weird vinyl company who managed to license Transformers, and their character is now being dressed up as Optimus Prime. The mask does come down, so you can just make this an Optimus Prime spacesuit vinyl weird thing. And at almost a foot tall, you're really gonna have to really love the design here. It's very, very odd. It's one of the more odd ones. But hey, it's something for you. And then you get this one, which just seems to be like a 3D. They call it a 3D painting. It's just, it's basically just like a flat wall decoration. That looks like hers. I like the G1 packaging in the back, but just kind of her looking out at it like a viewport. Weird, super weird, and of course that means it's the end of the news roundup because we always save the weird one for last. So now you are caught up on your week of Transformers, and thank you very much for using me to do the catch-up. Thank you as always. I will see you next time. Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.